Hello and welcome. I'm Amy and I'm super excited to have you join me today for a ride around the Australian countryside on my gorgeous 1973 Yamaha TX500. I'll give you a closer look at it. Look at this. I love this bike so much. So while we're riding along, I'm going to have a chat with you about a few different things, but definitely part of that chat is going to be about my experience of riding this magnificent old classic. So, welcome aboard. Let's explore. It's so good to blow the pipes out, for me and for the bike as well. I love this bike so much in so many ways, not all the ways, but in so many ways it's my favorite bike. The suspension is so soft and spongy, so I feel like I'm on a ride. It's very fun. And sure, you have to work a bit harder for it. There are knobs and dials to turn and buttons to push and taps to open and close, but I love that. It's such a visceral, tangible experience of riding a motorcycle. And yeah, you have to push it a bit harder to get up to decent speeds. But again, I really like that. So it was nice and sunny just a moment ago, and then as soon as I mounted the bike, here we go. Grey skies, but that's all right. I don't mind. It's so good to breathe out here. Such a good reset being out on a bike. So nearly 10 years ago now, on my 23rd birthday, I gave up all substances that distract and detract from the real world. So I gave up smoking, I gave up coffee, and I gave up alcohol all on the same day. Because I decided that rather than trying to avoid the world, avoid my problems, avoid my feelings, avoid situations, which is what drugs are largely used for, I wanted to be here. I wanted to be present. I wanted to feel. I wanted to sort myself out. I wanted to come to life and to stay alive. So I just gave it all up, cold turkey. And I've never, ever, ever, not once regretted that decision. I feel so much better in every way imaginable. I mean, it is tough to find yourself suddenly in the real world with no way of escaping, no way of getting out of your body. No way of lifting off, going unconscious. But this is where all the good stuff's happening. Even in the depths of feeling and emotion and pain and suffering, that's where all the lessons are. That's where all the insights are. That's where the wisdom is. That's where the growth is. That's where the transformation is. That's where the love is. It's where the connection is. So for me, I would always choose to be present, to feel exactly as it feels, to be in my body through the whole thing, take myself through the experiences that I'm having so that I can come out the other side transformed. And for me, that's what's happened. That's largely been a huge theme and a huge part of the last 10 years for me. Life-changing, transformational. But having said that, it doesn't mean that it's not nice and I don't appreciate having little ways to take a bit of a break, to take a bit of a breath, to shelve the things that perhaps aren't as important as I thought they were. You always got to check those railway lines, even if they've got lights on them. You just never know out here. And for me, that's what the bikes are. A way to take a breath, to expand, not to avoid, but to deeply reconnect. Because you feel yourself a part of and one with your environment when you're riding a bike, a part of and one with the vehicle. So acutely aware of your body and how you feel. And especially if you come to places like this, you got fresh air, sometimes you got sunshine, sometimes you got rain. You're just so deeply immersed in the elements. There's wind all around you. You're rolling yourself along at great speeds on two wheels. It's probably not as close as it gets to flying. Probably throwing yourself out of an aeroplane is closer to that than riding a bike, but it's pretty close. So let's take a moment just to chill out, expand out, put things in perspective, blow out all the cobwebs, stop avoiding how it feels to be here, get all the way in our bodies, and go for a ride. Bouncing along. I love riding this bike on the dirt. It does a really good job. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as a dirt bike or a motocross bike or an adventure bike, but it does good. I did a lot of my learning on dirt tracks on a more modern Yamaha, because this is also a Yamaha ag bike, riding around the property, getting around on dirt, and I got very comfortable with that. And to be honest, this doesn't feel that different to the ag bike, which is kind of purpose built for that. These old things really are just that, aren't they? They're these old classics. They're old. Sorry if you were born in the 70s, I don't mean to insult you, or earlier. But they're old and they're classic. They kind of do everything. They're not the sportiest, so they're not the fastest. They're not the best at just cracking it open and cruising at a high speed. They're not the best at dirt tracks. They're not the best at being nimble and stopping and starting in city traffic. But my God, they kind of do it all. You can make them do it all. And they're so comfy. Well, this one is anyway. Of all my bikes, this is the comfiest. I never get sore on this. As cushy and bouncy and springy as the suspension is, I don't get a sore bum. My knees don't go sore. I don't go numb. I'm not in a strange position. It's a very classic upright position. Look at that. We're in fourth. Just plodding away up that corrugated hill. Fine. Easy peasy. I just love it. I really do love it. And I like to imagine all the people that have ridden this bike as well. And the joy that it would have brought them. Imagine the freedom of getting your first bike. Well, I can't imagine the freedom of getting your first bike because I have had that experience. But bikes through the ages have just, I don't know, it feels like a really significant part of, not the most significant, but a significant part of our history, and the kangaroos, a significant part of human freedom and access and joy. It's joyful. One-way bridge. These corners.
Don't let anyone tell you that Australia is just dryness and desert. We have greenery and we have water as well.
Thanks for joining me on my little gallivant through the Australian countryside. I'll see you next time.